Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 18 of Quattroporte, the review series for the sports saloons or sedans, and of course super saloons or sedans that are featured on GT6. And in this episode we're featuring a vehicle which has kind of a cult status. Not that it dances around fires and makes strange rituals, but that it has a small and very loyal group of people who are huge fans of the car. Now I say a small group, obviously not first name basis. It has a strong following, but much smaller fan group than, say, more obvious choices like the BMW M5 or the Dodge Charger or the Mitsubishi Evo. But the thing about this particular car, which is a 1998 Ford Taurus SHO, or super high output, which I find personally quite a funny acronym that they chose. It sounds kind of childish, to be honest, but it's cool. It's kind of an odd sports saloon, in more ways than one. Not just the looks, because let's face it, it's a pretty unique looking car, to say the least. I'm not saying I think it's an ugly car. I find it interesting to look at. But you wouldn't exactly call it the best looking car ever made. But it's not just the looks that are strange about this car. There are a couple of other things which are both surprising and a little bit odd. The first thing that may surprise you, especially for an American model, is that it's front-wheel drive. Now, America does make a lot of front-wheel drive saloons, but hardly any of them are featured on Gran Turismo. This is one of the only strong front-wheel drive saloon cars on the game, and it is a very strong car for its front-wheel drive status. It's fast, it's powerful, and it's competitive. But that's not the only thing that's strange. Another thing that's odd about this car is its aspiration. It's naturally aspirated, and you cannot turbocharge or supercharge it. Now that may not be surprising to everyone, but I personally did find that quite surprising. I would have expected at least a supercharger, if not a turbo, to be an option on this car's 3.4 litre engine. And to be honest, it would do better if it did have one. Because although it's fast, and as I said, it is a powerful car by real life standards, on the game it deserves more. It puts out 430 horsepower, which is perfectly decent, but isn't really worrying for many of the top-level saloons. And it puts out 361 pound-feet of torque. Thanks to the front-wheel drive, the weight is nice and low, at just over 1,200 kilos, which is very impressive for a pretty large car. And it has a power-to-weight ratio of 356 horsepower per tonne, which, given that it doesn't have a huge amount of power in the first place, is actually pretty good. Now the PP on this particular model is just over 500, it's 508, and I would say that's a very good PP level for this car. Any higher than that, and it really would start to lose effectiveness, really. As it is at the just over 500 PP level, however, it can quite easily be down-tuned to, say, 475 or 500 or lower, and be a competitive model. Especially within the front-wheel drive category, because on Gran Turismo, there are a few standouts in the front-wheel drive class, but they tend to be fairly obvious choices. Cars like the Civic, the Focus RS, the Clio RS, etc. They're cars which you immediately think of when you think front-wheel drive. This car is, for many people, and I'd go so far as to even say for most people, probably not the first thing you'd think of when you're thinking of fast front-wheel drive cars. But that's actually a good thing, because it means that this car can come way from behind and shock everyone. And it certainly is capable of winning races for its spec and for its PP. It is a very good all-round car. It handles very well. Obviously you can spin up the wheels, as you just saw then, because it's got a pretty decent amount of power going through a front-wheel drive chassis. And although having more power would be nice, it would obviously compromise the car's handling and grip if it did have more. So swings and roundabouts, really. You gain, but you lose other things. So, all things considered, it's probably a good thing that it doesn't have a massive amount of power, because it deals with the power that it has very well. Now, another good thing about this car is the price. It's very cheap. Only 27,000 credits. And for the saloon class, not just super saloons but also sports saloons, that's a very good price. Overall, I would say the Taurus is something of a speciality car. It's a car which has, as I mentioned in the outro, a very loyal band of followers. And it's not hard to see why. It's something of a sleeper car. It's certainly competitive, especially for a front-wheel drive vehicle. And the looks, as odd and unique as they are, do have something strangely appealing about them, in a kind of undercover cop kind of way. But maybe that's just me. So, that's it for this episode. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.